Hi, I'm Mark Gishin, and welcome to Sustainable House Day at our place in Adelaide. I acknowledge the Kaurna people, traditional custodians of the land on which this house stands, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and future. Let's have a look through and I'll highlight our approach to more sustainable living. The house is a heritage listed sandstone cottage built in 1874. It had a rear lean-to that was in pretty bad condition, so we decided to demolish and rebuild that part and renovate the front cottage part. We spent about a year in design and planning with Paul Hendy of TS4 Living, and then almost another year with the building works. The block still had a relatively large garden and a large deciduous tree. We wanted to make the house more comfortable to live in and preserve the heritage values of the neighbourhood. Increasing the resilience to future climate and keeping the house to a small footprint were critical aspects. First of all, the location. It's in the southeast corner of the Adelaide CBD, which is quite residential, as you can see, but quite closely developed with lots of hard surfaces ready to hold heat. Our site was one of the blocks running east-west, which means that heat loads in the summer from the west are pretty high. Some trade-offs were inevitable, like using passive design to get sunlight through the northern windows to contribute heating supply in winter, meant that the roof sloped to the south, which reduced some of the solar PV generation that we could get, but we still have enough for our needs. There were also some heritage constraints, specifically the need to retain the original front-facing aspects, such as the original windows. Just before we go on, I want to emphasise the significant role of trees and vegetation in cooling the local neighbourhood. Heat mapping data clearly shows the benefit of the trees, and I've highlighted a particular small green corridor that exists due to the retention of gardens in some of the properties. We had some clear goals before we started and worked closely with the designer and then with the builder. You can see that the footprint remains similar, but it's the design and materials that went inside that makes all the difference. The block's 290 square metres. The house uses 89 square metres, with the old cottage being 43 square metres and the new extension about 46 square metres. It's small, but quite sufficient for us, and we have 3 small bedrooms, a large open living area and plenty of storage. You can see more details and specifications on the information sheet, and the house will also be appearing in an upcoming May edition of Sanctuary magazine. So let's take a bit of a look and I'll highlight the key features as we go. The old cottage frontage is a bay window, thick sandstone walled structure that faces east on a one-way street. We were fortunate to have a small pocket garden right out front, which gives significant moderating influence on temperature performance, especially in summer, to slow down heat gain from the east. We're also fortunate to have a driveway so we can very easily charge our second-hand electric vehicle that we've recently purchased. You can see the contrast of old and new through obviously different materials of constructions. A point of note, it was possible to refurbish and retrofit double glazing to the window on the driveway without compromising heritage preservation rules that were in place at the time, which was not possible for street-facing windows. The result is terrific. No drafts or rattles, easy to operate, much better thermally, and the added bonus of some noise reduction. This is a bit further down the drive, and you can see the thin 1,000 litre rainwater tank that doubles as a fence and also a green wall. The feature wall on the southern side provides a clear contrast to the old cottage at the front. The cat has got its own cat run, so the birds are plentiful in the garden and safe from our cat at least. And this is the back garden looking back towards the house, which uses a lot of double glazing to provide connection from inside to outside. Of course, that amount of glazing can add huge heat load from the western sun in summer, but it is counteracted by the garden and the deciduous tree that provide a moderating effect. The overall profile is quite low and hardly visible from the road and is not imposing in height. In fact, the design deliberately ensured that the southern neighbours retain complete access to the sun and sky through their northern windows. We disconnected from the existing gas supply and became fully electric. We've opted for time of use tariffs, so we try to make the most of our own solar or stored electricity and import at the cheapest times of the day. We have a reverse cycle heating and cooling, but it's very rarely used, never in some years. So let's take a look inside. The front window treatments include wooden shutters and honeycomb blinds, so we can regulate light and heat gain and loss as needed. Looking down the corridor, you can see the aspect view is straight out through to the backyard. Once we started the work, we realised how poor the condition was of the old floorboards and solid plaster internal walls. We'd already planned underfloor heating in the new extension, so we made the expensive decision to continue that throughout and remove the old floorboards. The bay window room is very bright and roomy, and it has retained the original windows, improved with some refurbishing, draft ceiling, pulleys, weights, and the south wall had extra internal insulation added, as did the north wall in the bedroom opposite. The flooring is slip-resistant ceramic tiles over the concrete slab that hold the hydronic heating, which is split into zones. Now let's zoom through into the new part of the house through the old door. To the south is the laundry on the left, and you can see there that's access entry to the driveway and where we charge our car. The bathroom to the north side has loads of light from the window up north, facing north, and an easy access shower and a bath. From there it opens up into a very light, airy and bright room combining kitchen, living and dining. Let's have a look at that. It's compact, but it feels very spacious. The northern windows allow for cross ventilation and add up to 5 kilowatts of heating through winter, with the external leaves preventing direct sunlight in summer. The garden outlook makes this a very pleasant room, and ceiling fans, in addition to honeycomb blinds, assist in maintaining a comfortable temperature and minimise the need for active heating or cooling. You need to be aware of what's happening with the weather outside and drive the house. The strong connection to the garden makes this part of our everyday thinking. Put simply, it's a wonderful house to live in, and it's in a great location. We generate about 90% of our total annual consumption of energy, and whilst that is only a little below the regional average for households, remember that this includes fuel for the car, which is often not considered. I hope you've enjoyed seeing our place and perhaps even gained some inspiration and ideas for your own projects. Keep a lookout for our house in the upcoming May edition of Sanctuary magazine. Thank you for watching.